Hey, what's going on everyone? Today we're going to be discussing the space faction, and specifically we're going to be talking about if you should start farming them. So currently they are one of the worst factions in the entire game. I would say even City is currently better than them, and that is definitely saying something. But we do know that the space faction is going to be very useful coming up very shortly with the space themed raid. It has pretty much been confirmed at this point that the upcoming raid is going to be space themed. Of course, that is subject to change as with anything, but we're 99% sure right now that it is going to be space themed based off of all the hints they have dropped, talking about reworks and all kinds of new characters and just that type of thing. So with this raid, it is planned to release as soon as possible in the second half of 2020. That is what they have said, and we are currently in that second half. I don't think it's going to be released in July or August. My guess is September. It could be later than that, or maybe even earlier, but it sounds like they're trying to focus on all of the Ghostbuster events in August, and then the raid might come after that. So I would not be surprised if that's kind of the rough schedule right now for the raid, but it sounds like they are definitely working on it. They've talked about how they're working on the design and the art and all that type of stuff. Now, a couple people are guessing that you will only be able to use space characters in this raid. It will require space characters, and that's why they are currently farming space. However, I don't think that's going to be the case. I would be very surprised if we were only able to use space characters for the raid. I think we will be able to use any faction, any character that we want. However, since it is going to be space themed, I think there's a good chance that space characters might get some kind of bonus for the raid. Like perhaps they will gain 20% critical chance and critical damage at the start of each one of their turns, or just something like that that makes space just a little bit better for the actual raid itself, in which case it would be a good idea to start farming them. Now, besides that, I think it's just a really good idea to go for them, because I think it's very likely that they will become the next meta after Ghostbusters, if that becomes a meta. Personally, I don't think the Ghostbusters are going to have a huge impact on the current meta of... It's pretty heavy on pirates right now, with a little bit of Ninjago thrown in, but I think pirates are going to remain a strong meta for a little while until the space meta. That's what I'm guessing. I think the space meta is going to be the next big meta, the way the pirates completely push the castle teams out of arena. Now, they've talked a lot about space reworks, and to me it sounds like they all might be getting reworks, which would be fantastic, because I would love for Dwayne to get a rework and maybe make him less useless. But yeah, they also talked about how they would like to add healing immunity, a healing immunity debuff to these reworked space characters kits, which would be very powerful up against a pirate team, because if you could get healing immunity on like Redbeard, that could completely prevent Bart's heal, which would be really helpful in taking Redbeard out as soon as possible in the battle. And of course, just preventing heals is very useful also up against castle teams and other teams like Spooky and whatnot. But yeah, that is going to be a very useful tool, and it sounds like that is what they want to add to the existing space characters when they do rework them. And they also hinted at Gorwell becoming accessible with this space update / space raid. So maybe she'll get a hard node or something like that, just some place to get tiles for her, and she of course is the best space character currently in the game. But here's another thing to keep in mind. There is most likely going to be a raid reward character. So we will most likely be getting tiles of a character whenever we complete the raid. And I think how well you did in the raid will determine how many tiles you get for this character. And my guess, I'm like 99% sure that if there is a raid reward character it will be an exclusive character just to the raid, and probably a new space character, not Gorwell, because Gorwell is accessible from bags, and I don't think a raid reward character would be accessible anywhere else in the game except the raid itself. And since raids are a pretty big deal in these games, I assumed that this character would be very, very powerful, and personally I'm guessing it's going to be a meta-defining space character that will make space meta. And personally I'm hoping for the alien commander from Mars Mission. I think that would be a fantastic unit to be the raid reward character, but we will have to see on that. So should you start farming space? I'm gonna say absolutely. I think they're almost definitely going to be a meta here before the end of the year. I think they're going to be a very, very dominant team, especially after the reworks, the new characters, possibly a raid reward character. And also just because of their pet manipulation mechanics, they'll probably be very good in the raid anyway, even if they don't get some kind of boost just exclusively for the raid. And the other thing to keep in mind is all of the space characters, with the exception of Commander Cold, are very, very easy farms. Reed has 2 monolith nodes, Kelvin has 2 monolith nodes, Locust has a monolith node and 2 Piptown nodes, and Dwayne has a monolith node as well. And monolith waste farms are the quickest in the game, so you can max these characters relatively quickly. Only Cold is going to take a little while since he's one of the slower farms in the game, only being available from 2 20 energy hard nodes, but you might as well start on him now. And also, if you happen to have snowflakes left over from the Yeti event and you haven't spent them yet, I would honestly recommend to spend them on Commander Cold at this point, especially with raids just around the corner. But I personally started working on my own space faction about a month ago, and I already have Reed at 7 stars, Locust, Kelvin, and Cold at 6 stars, and Dwayne is almost at 6 stars as well, and I will probably be getting all of them to 7 within the next month. So they are very, very quick farms, especially if you are refreshing the monolith energy a couple times, once or twice each day. And one thing I will say is, for those who have not yet focused on your pirates, I think you should prioritize them before you focus on your space characters, because pirates are very, very important for a lot of areas of the game, including the Master Wu event and the weekly gold event. So yeah, if you can get 5 pirates to 6 stars, that's a great place to then swap to a different faction like space, because 6 stars is plenty for both the gold event, and you should be able to unlock Master Wu with those characters as well. But also, these space characters are mostly monolith waste farms, as I mentioned earlier, so you might even be able to farm them both at the same time. But alright, that is going to do it for this video. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you in the next one.